So good, it's 6 o'clock and people are slowly logging in. We already have many people join. And I would like to start. I'm Rajita Kulkarni and I'm the president of SSU University. And it's such a great honor for me today to host three incredible and exceptional women leaders who I have known, some of them for over 2 decades, some little less. And this is our SSU University online platform where we are inviting experts to share from their life experiences, to share from their incredible bank of knowledge on various topics. So today the topic we are going to discuss on is women in leadership, and something very close to, I'm sure, the hearts of all three of you, and definitely to the hearts of many women, and especially our girl students. In SSU University, we have almost 48% of our students are girls, and about 49% of our team members, including faculty, are women. So we are really doing our best to kind of get that diversity balance there. So this is going to be a very important discussion. We had initially thought we would do this as a women in boardroom discussion, but considering your incredible experience, I'm going to take it a notch above on to women in leadership, and we will make boardroom as part of it. And before I open the panel, I want to introduce all three of you. And because all three of you are so exceptional and so dear to me, I'll just do alphabetically so that there are no preferences. And that's why let me start with you, Anjali. I'm so happy that you took out time for us and gave us this time. Anjali Raina is currently the executive director of Harvard Business School in India. And when people did not know the full form of MBA is when she pioneered the study of MBA in India. Has been an exceptional banker, was with Grindlays, was with Citibank, brought in a whole new marketing, innovation into consumer banking at a time when Citibank was one of the biggest pioneers, has been my boss for some time, and a really incredible human being and a great leader. Anjali, welcome to this SSU online discussion today.
Thank you.
And next is alphabetically Mridulla. Mridulla, I can say, is one of the people I have grown to become so fond of. Again, an exceptional leader, chartered accountant, has been with KPMG, as she rightly says in her CV, has worked more than half her life. Mridulla, that says a lot. And today is leading as the Chief Operating Office of the risk consulting business. And particularly for this topic, her additional role is relevant because she's also helping the KPMG's board for a leadership center, especially for the agenda of women on boards, and an extremely tech savvy, extremely committed, and extremely on the I think with all the trends in her field of work. Mridulla, you are a great inspiration for young aspiring women leaders. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rajita. Just to say, you have been a strong inspiration for me. So learn from you every day.
Okay, so let's go to Rupa. Rupa, again, someone I have grown to admire so much, and an exceptional figure in the world of finance in India. She's currently an independent director on many corporate boards, over 30 years of experience in her field, a chartered accountant. Again, she was the CFO of IDFC Private Equity. A lot of experience in banking, and today a big voice on bringing women on boards, and giving now in a sense this part of her life very freely to a lot of social causes, leads a lot of big projects, especially in the natural resources conservation work for Art of Living, river rejuvenation work of Art of Living, education, and so many more fields. And smilingly, laughingly, taking along hundreds and thousands of volunteers who have a mind of their own. She's able to take them to a very, she's able to drive them to very high social impact objectives that she drives. Rupa, what a great joy to have you also with us.
Thank you so much, Rajita ji. And I think you're just wonderful with your generosity of words. Thank you for those kind words. And I think Charchika is a fantastic initiative. Hearty congratulations for that. Shri Shri University rocks.
Thank you. Thank you. So if it is okay for you, can I just refer you to with your first names like Rupa, Anjali and Mridulla? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how we will do it is I have questions and I'm going to post a question and I would invite all three of you to speak in any order that works for you. And, we cannot take it from there. So that's the idea. And our number of participants are growing by the second. So a large population already joining in. So my first question to all of you, you are at a stage of life when you look back, you can say, it has been an accomplished life. You are accomplished leaders in your industry. People aspire to the life you live or where you have reached in your life. Share with us, how have you done it? If you were to look back, what would you say are your 3 success mantras or 3 things that you think you did, which is what has brought you where you are? Anjali, can I request you to start?
Okay, Rajita, can you hear me?
Yes.
So thank you very much for the kind introduction that you gave, and thank you for allowing me to go first. I was thinking deeply about what are the success principles, and the first that comes to mind is the investment that I have made in building deep and wide relationships. Some people think that, a relationship is like building a network, and of course my network is very large, but the word network somehow implies as to what you're going to get out of it. Whereas in this building of relationships, I've always been looking at what I can give. And so I think that to a certain extent has helped the relationships to be very deep and very meaningful, because it's more a giving relationship where I'm actually focused on the other person. And many people have relationships, many people have networks. But I have focused on connecting, being a connector, connecting people within the network to each other.
Wow.
So a lot of my relationships know each other. And as you started at the beginning of the call, Rajita, that it's surprising how everybody knows everybody. And maybe it's just that India is a small country, or South Asia, which is really my territory, is a small country. But I find that more and more people that I know and introduced to each other, happy to know each other. So that's one of the success principles. The second principle has been basically building trust. And that is really because I have an open mind, and I try to foster an open mind in the people that I know, in the teams that I lead, in the boards that I'm on, where managing conflict, managing dissent, managing differences is actually something that I proactively do, and I proactively encourage, and I proactively foster a climate where this can be done. So it is building trust, but it is not trust which is fake. It is trust which is built on a deep understanding of each other's differences and each other's differences of opinion. That's why I call it managing conflict, actually, in a way, because it is not about glossing over the differences, but about accepting them and including them.
Wow.
And the third thing is really that I've focused on workplace culture. So, many people think that culture just evolves, but I believe that there are 3 facets to culture: trust, pride, and camaraderie. I already spoke a little bit about trust, but I believe that if you want to create a high-performing team and you want to create a high-performance work culture, a great place where everybody wants to work, then you need trust, pride, and camaraderie. And of course, if you work for a good brand, like I do, both Grindlays, Citibank, and now Harvard Business School are all great brands, then automatically it's easy to focus, to create pride, but people need to also believe that they are contributing something to the ultimate goal. So unless people feel connected to the goal, they don't feel pride. And camaraderie, having a best friend at work. So, you and I have worked with each other so many years ago, but we still remain friends. We know each other at many different ways, at many different levels. That camaraderie, that friendship is also an important part of creating a great place to work. So these are the 3 things. One is building relationships, being a connector. Second is building trust and managing conflict. And the third is creating a proactively a great place to work, built on 3 pillars of trust, pride, and camaraderie.
Wow, Anjali, this is like this can become a class by itself, a session by itself. Thank you. This is fabulous. Very valuable. Thank you. Mridulla, what would you like to say?
So I think I completely relate to Anjali's point on building teams. But I just want to say I would widen that a bit. Build teams in office, build teams at home, invest in family, invest in friends, invest in help, because that is what helps you and, makes you work, helps you in difficult times and, pushes you forward. One of the other things that I want to say is that you should look at a bigger picture. There are days when something will work, something will not, you will be sick, something will not work out, but keeping a focus on the bigger picture helps. And the most important thing which I thought was raise your hand. Put up your hand that I want to do this, I want to drive it, and then make things work around it and ask your team, ask your network, which will help you. So these 3 things have really worked for me.
Wow, great, Mridulla. And absolutely, when you say it, I can feel it, because that's how I have seen you also living your life. Really nice. Rupa?
For me, the 3 principles of success really have been believe in yourself. I think that's really very important for women, to believe in themselves and to speak up. You need to be the go-to person, and you need to really have passion for your work, right? I thought passion for your work, and if you take work as fun and give your 100% to your work, then I think everything is possible, right? And I think you need to have a sense of purpose. And I think many of us have spoken about this, that there has to be a sense of stewardship to leave a legacy behind. Can I do something to leave a legacy behind is something that gels well with me. And I also believe very ardently in Gurudev's principles of having a purity in heart, clarity in mind, and sincerity in action. And I think that has taken me where I am today.
Wow. Wow, this is so inspiring. And you all 3 are making it sound so easy. But I am sure that, it has not been a bed of roses for either of you. So looking back, what would you say, Anjali, what would you think of when you think of obstacles, what would you think have been some of your biggest obstacles, and how have you overcome them? Because today that is one of the things I see in young girls, that, the impatience to get there soon kind of makes them, feel disillusioned if they get a roadblock. So help us with this part of your journey.
So Rajita, you know that I'm an optimist and I tend to always look at the rosy picture. So when, looking at an obstacle, I was thinking more internally. What is there inside me that maybe has created an obstacle? In the outside world, I think I've been very lucky. God has been kind and many doors have opened. Inside, I feel that negotiation is a very critical and important skill for women. And I have a win-win mentality. However, I don't always spot opportunities for negotiation. And so I have missed opportunities for negotiation. Also, sometimes when I come across people, they have a win-lose mentality. And the ability to change their win-lose mentality into win-win is not something that I'm always been successful at. Okay. So I sometimes lose. So I think the whole area of negotiations is something that if I had been better at, it would have been less of an obstacle. Having a win-win mentality sounds good, but being able to actually spot opportunities for negotiation is something that I have not always been able to do.
Anjali, I want to ask you a follow-up on that, because it's, when you say it, unfortunately, it is true for many of us women. We are very good at asking things for our teams, or even maybe sometimes advocating for our peers, but may not be as good as opening doors for ourselves. What do you think we can do differently? How do you think we can overcome this?
So for me, when my professor actually pointed out to me that negotiation is something that men do better than women, and while he was talking, I was remembering an incident that had happened 20 years earlier in my life. I was offered a very big job. In fact, the gentleman who offered it to me at Greenlace Bank, he said, Anjali, we have this branch which is not doing well. It's been automated. It's the first technology branch. And I really need somebody to run it. And I said, I've run branches before. Why are you giving me this small place? And he said, because nobody can do it excepting you. It's our first of 52 and all that. And what do you want? So I said, okay, let me think about it. I came back the next day and told him, I want a photocopier. I want you to give me lunch and all. And then the old man says, I thought you'll ask for a car. And I said, but the branch deals with constituents around it. Why would I need a car? I walk everywhere. I don't need a car. 20 years later, when my professor told me, negotiation is important. I had this picture in front of me which said, oh my God, he was offering me the next grade and I never saw it.
Right.
So I think spotting the opportunity and having a laser-like focus on that is an important skill that we need to develop for ourselves. That I think is important. I think in the desire to do good for others, in the desire to look at the big picture, in our generosity of spirit, sometimes we miss the nuances of what somebody is actually saying. We don't read behind it. Building that EQ, building that intuition, it's an individual skill which we need to build. It's a personal skill.
I mean, very beautifully said. And I think the car will be looming large in many of our heads now. Look out for the car. Mridulla, what would you say?
The challenges were a lot more emotional, a lot more balanced. Like, how do you balance a career which requires so much of your time, but also home with a child which requires so much of your time? And the guilt, the emotion guilt that, that a lot of us carry, I carried that for a very long time. And I think the way to get out of it is to take, again, each day at a time. One day, the child may be more important because he's ailing. One day work may be important because you have a deadline. So you can't have, generic brush that I will always prioritize work or I will always prioritize the child, and balance it each and every day. And the other part of emotional was my career path was slower because I was working fewer hours since I was balancing it, and my peers were moving out and getting promoted, becoming partners much quicker. So that is where my whole team of family, friends and all really helped me, show me the bigger picture, stabilize it. I remember when I got pregnant, I told my mom that I will lose a promotion to manager. She said, you will get promoted to mother. And when I used to discuss it with my husband, he said, in a span of 60 years of a career, 1 or 2 years doesn't matter. So to that extent, I thought having this whole team of people, family, friends who would reach out. Rajita, I was at the brink of leaving my career, and how you brought me back. So I think it's very important. We go through these challenges every day, but to have pillars to bring you back and show you the bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought the point, Mridulla, of a working mom. And, if I see my own LinkedIn network, so many peers who I had, colleagues who I had, who were exceptional professionals, but somewhere they had to kind of, choose lesser demanding jobs or whatever because of this reason. Are you seeing that still continuing, or do you see because you lead large teams, you have many young moms also working with you. How are you seeing that today?
I think it's a lot better now, Rajita, a lot better because of the awareness that's around. There's lots of flexibility in terms of working from home, having flexible hours, working part-time. I did it for 13 years when there wasn't a policy. So it goes back to my point on raise your hands, make things happen. But even as organizations, there are organizations who are offering it. If your organization is not, I think you should put up your hand and say, can you do something like this? There is a book by Sheryl Sandberg called Lean In. And when she was working with Google at that time, her car park was like really far away, and she was pregnant and, used to walk a lot. And she just came down to Larry's office one day and says that I want the parking close by because I am 8 months pregnant, I cannot walk. And he said, oh, I didn't even think about it. So the whole it's not that they don't want to do it. Sometimes, yeah, there are constraints, but I think it is getting a lot better. And sometimes you have to take a little bit of a break, try to do a different thing, or maybe a little different role, and then come back. But it has to work both ways.
Okay. That's awesome. I'm hearing from you again and again, raise your hand. And I think that's a very important, it also is close to what Anjali is saying, that, ask and don't miss the opportunity. Rupa, how has it been with you?
Yeah, actually, the career choices that I made and the time when I made them, they had many obstacles actually. So I chose to become a chartered accountant, and I did that alongside my BCom at a time when there were not too many women chartered accountants. It was an absolute obstacle to even find an articleship because men were not ready to accept women as article clerks. Just imagine, it started from there. Then I chose to have an independent practice as a chartered accountant at 22, which again, nobody wanted to accept. So it was difficult to try to make your mark in the field and get your clients, etc., believe in you. So that was an obstacle. Then I joined the banking industry just after the securities scam, and getting my voice heard at the table was difficult. But I think it was with persistence that I managed to get my voice heard at the table, and then it was all fine. And I think balancing home and work, just like Mridulla said, I think that was a challenge too. And I think all women, I don't think we can get it all. We don't have it all. Just we have to make choices. And I still feel, we talk about not having the guilt, but I still have a very clear remembrance of a situation when my daughter was, taking part in a beauty contest in some summer camp, and I couldn't be there because I had to be at work. And I still remember that I couldn't be there. So that guilt somewhere remains within you. I guess we need to learn to not be super moms and try to live with it. And of course, she had to make certain changes in her lifestyle too as a little kid, because if she wanted mom's help in science projects or whatever it is, then she had to be awake, and 10 to 1 is what we used to do. So there are choices that you make and obstacles that you really have to
No, I mean, I so appreciate you sharing from your heart, Rupa. And all three of you have been working moms. I know all three of your children, you raise such exceptional human beings, and you are ready to now, two of you are ready to move to the next level promotion. Like Mridulla was saying, get promoted to mother. You are ready to get to the grandmom stage. My mother was a working mother, and this was in the 70s. She started working with Reserve Bank of India in 1966, and she worked her whole life till she retired, and all through her childhood. We had a working mom when nobody else at that time was working so much. And I know, as a child, I know what sacrifices a mom makes also to accommodate. This is very precious what all three of you are sharing. And I'm seeing that also, so many of our professors, young assistant professors who have little children, and we are in our university also have to accommodate. Like one of our professors, her husband lives in another town because of work, and when the daughter comes home from school, she has nowhere to keep her, so she comes with her to the classes. I think she has already reached master's level of education because she's attending classes. I think we as institutions have to become more accommodative. I'm now going to put you a little bit on the spot, and I want a yes or no answer. Okay, no, this and that, yes or no. In your life, if you look back, do you feel there has been any time when you felt discriminated just because you're a woman?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes?
I'd say no.
No? Rupa?
Yes.
Yes? Yes. When you look around today, what do you feel? Do you feel this is still happening?
Yeah, I think there is an unconscious bias which is still existing, and I think we need to get rid of that. I just think that women are expected to behave in a certain manner, that women have to be more caring and accommodating, and men can be more assertive, etc. I think both men and women have this problem, and both need to change and give themselves more room, right? Men need to be more sensitive, and women need to be more assertive, and that should be accepted as the way, the game. Then it will be a fair world, actually.
All right. And would you say then that, we were initially discussing that we could talk more about women in boardrooms. And, I mean, there is a lot of data. I don't want to get into it. But if you look at India's standards versus the rest of the world, or if you look at how many women are at the lower levels of managerial cadres versus how many reach the top, a trickly small percentage reach the top. So what do you think needs to change, Anjali, today in the world so that more women, and I mean, I'm not saying undeserving women, it is a deserving candidate, but more women can reach, the top leadership positions in institutions?
So this is something that's really close to my heart, Rajita, and it's really about changing the workplace. So I don't think it is about women and women not leaning in or not being ambitious. I think that we work in a very patriarchal mindset society where work is designed and workplaces are designed by men, for men, of men. So what happens is that women and men think that a woman has choices, and she does have social choices. If any woman decides to stay at home to look after her kids, a highly educated, highly ambitious, highly accomplished woman says, oh, you know what, now I'm a mom and I want to sit at home and look after my kid, either my own daughter or my granddaughter. Society will say, oh my God, what a sacrifice she's made, and they'll praise her. And they won't think that there's anything wrong. Whereas if my poor husband said, I want to sit at home and look after my grandchild, everybody would say, oh my God, what a nikamma. Isn't it? There's a patriarchal mindset.
Yeah.
There's a patriarchal mindset which makes it okay for a man to be the breadwinner.
Right.
And while they don't discourage women, they don't actively encourage them either. Women have a mindset that a life thing, like getting engaged, getting married, having a kid, having a second kid, having a grandchild, having elderly parents to look after, they think of these as commas. They think of these as full stops rather than commas or semicolons. So unless we change the design of work, we cannot do this. Why do we have extreme jobs? You and I both worked at Citibank, where we worked 45 to 50 hours a week, which is 8 hours a day, sometimes 10 hours a day. We worked, those type of hours are expected. The face time is expected by companies. So as long as that expectation continues, as long as we understaff, this is because we are understaffed. That's why we expect people to work such long hours. So I think unless the design of work, the design of workplaces and the expectations change, women are going to find it more rewarding to look after their children and their homes rather than spending all those extreme hours for a paltry salary. As I said, it's not that I did not suffer from guilt or did not suffer from any of these things, but I loved my work. I really enjoyed my work. And as a result, there was a draw in coming to work every day, which kept me at work. I think if I had not enjoyed my work, I would have probably left.
Right.
And therefore, offices and companies have also to make it rewarding for women. We did some research on this where women they want to come back to work when they're pregnant. They want to come back to work when they're on maternity leave. And then they come back and they find they're passed over for the promotion, or they're not given real work, or people treat them like a young mother and say, go home early and don't give them recognition. And so they say, I don't want to be on the mommy track. Right. And they say, where ambitious women might as well go home and be on the mommy track and really look after my kid at home. I don't want to be on the mommy track at work. So that's a long answer, but I love this redesign of workplace question, because that is something that people like you, Rajita, who have a seat at the table, people like Rupa, people like Mridulla, we need to speak up and say that work needs to be redesigned so that it is good for men and women. My son-in-law and daughter are both working, and so am I. So now when she has her baby, am I going to give up work to look after her baby? How is she going to manage? And my poor son-in-law, is he going to give up his job to look after the baby? So unless the work is redesigned for him and for her, it's going to be very stressful.
Very well said. Very well said. That's very well said, Anjali. Very, very well said. Mridulla, what do you feel?
So I think fortunately KPMG has worked very well for me. I've been with KPMG for more than 20 years and I've done 8 jobs in the firm. So every time I wanted to change, I wanted a different, an alternative time, it worked. The way I look at discrimination would be, and maybe because I don't have that experience yet, that if the same role, if a man were to do, so for example, if a man were to work part-time or were to be away for 1 year, would he and me be treated differently? And if the answer to that is no, so like if you take the woman out of the equation, so if a man takes, and it's happened in Australia and all very often, if the man takes a year off and a woman takes a year off, and the reason could be anything, but if the outcome is the same, I would not call it as discrimination. And fortunately, that's worked for me at KPMG very well.
That's very encouraging, Mridulla, because again, large institutions become global examples of of what standards can be, of what Anjali you were saying. And I remember, this is of course 2 decades ago, but in Citibank we used to have a joke that there is flexi time available but it's only in the HR policy document. That's where, because it was a very aggressive, very ambitious culture. And if you even speak about it, you became a turkey from a tiger, so creating, right, Anjali, those words are still ringing in our ears. So that's very
in fact, if you see what we are doing right now, right, mandatory work from home, it has opened up so many possibilities. And now every organization is thinking it is cost friendly, it is employee friendly, it works. So it's mandated a better culture at work, I feel.
Rupa, what is you have headed, you have been head in a couple of institutions. You are leading by example now for an NGO. What is your view on this?
I think women in leadership we need to really focus on, because it makes economic sense. Forget any other argument, it just makes economic sense. The World Economic Forum had a data that we could actually add $740 billion to our GDP, that is 18% of our GDP, if we had women and gender equality happening, right? So there is enough and more research to prove that diverse organizations perform better. And if you have 50% of the talent pool as women, 50% of the workforce as women, and women make 75% of the consumption decisions, I think it just makes economic sense to have them represented, and represented on boardrooms and represented at every level of management. And if you need to make that happen, I agree with Anjali that you need the work culture to change, absolutely required. The tone of the top has to be really wanting to do something. And I think maybe KRAs should actually give points for diversity. If it's something that you monitor, then you focus on, and probably as part of the business responsibility reporting, if you report on diversity initiatives, then that's what's going to get the focus on. So I think we need to do all that and much more to get women where they need to be.
But this is a fabulous insight on the economic, basically bottom line benefits. So even if you're looking at only a pure bottom line reason to have more women in leadership, then that brings me to the question that this is also true for boardrooms. But then why is this not happening in boardrooms today? It is being mandated. There are percentages required, but still, why is it not happening?
Well, if you ask a man, he'd probably say we can't find the women. If you ask me, I think we just have to put our hands up. Let us say that. We have to stand up and say, I'm here, look at me, register on the databases. Now you have independent databases that are available. Get yourself trained, have that online proficiency test, do what it takes. There are search firms, executive search firms that, get you board positions. So take that on. And if nothing else, I think even companies need to do something. In boardrooms, the board induction process needs to change. Today, it is just references, right? You know somebody and you can get that reference and you are into the boardroom. That's very sad. in fact, what we need to do is find out what are the missing skill sets in the boardroom. What is the diversity that you're looking at, whether it is diversity of thought, diversity of gender, diversity of knowledge, diversity of experience, generational diversity, whatever you may say. I mean, that's what we need to look at, see what is missing. And like we do for C-suite appointments, we need to do for directorships as well. And I'm sure women will find their place. And just having one woman in the boardroom again doesn't really solve the purpose. So you need to have a fair representation of women, and I think at least the 30+ % of women on boards is absolute requirement. What I'm seeing now lately is that there are institutional advisory firms that are also encouraging diversity and gender diversity, and I think that is a step in the right direction, because if institutional investors and if capital is going to follow diversity, then definitely people will take care of it.
Rupa, I have an ask of you, if you would allow, because many people who have joined this conversation, if they were to put their hand up and say that we would like some mentoring on how to go ahead with it, would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely. And I think you raise a very important point that women don't have women mentors. And, you know, there was recently a little article that came on me and named my mentors. And I sent it to my mentor, Louis Miranda, of course, everybody knows him, and Dr. Vijay Kelkar and Gurudev, of course. But I sent it to him and he said, Rupa, I wish the next generation has some women mentors. And I think that is so profound. And I think I'll be really happy if my daughter and people of her generation have women as mentors.
So we will do that as a follow-up, Rupa, of this, that if there are a few women who put their hands up, and you know, we will connect you, and I think they will benefit so much from your mentoring. Yeah,
most certainly.
Wow, that's really. I want to give a clap for that, because you know, this is really fabulous. And Anjali, to that point, to turn to you, what is your take on this? You know, on the same conversation on women, not enough women in the boards.
So building on what Rupa said, I think it really is a function of, it was an old man's club and now it has become a select women's club. So when you're on a board and another board member has to come on, if you say that I want the second one to be a woman, see, the law is that you need to have only one woman director.
Right.
But you can always say, I think that a vacancy has come up, why don't we consider another woman?
Right.
Now, the other matter is that sometimes you don't find qualified women, or
right.
if you find a qualified woman, then she already has 10 boards.
Right.
So having the women register on the independent directors portal, so that at least the slate of women that is available is more visible to a lot more people, I think is a very important thing.
Right.
The selection firms that are responsible for this, the search firms that are responsible for this, also need to widen their slate. I think to give them credit, they are running training programs and so on to enable the slate to widen. But of course, as a feminist, I always say that why do they have training programs for female directors? I've never heard of a training program for a male director.
Yeah.
So how come a man is ready-made to be a director, but all the women who want to be directors have to be trained?
Correct.
I've lost that battle. I put all the people whom I want to become directors, I put them through those training programs. They're not cheap. They're expensive programs, so you need to have the money to do that. And then now their independent directors portal has an exam.
Yes,
that's I think women should qualify themselves.
Right.
I just cleared the exam. It just started on 1st of March, and it's a good resource for anybody who wants to equip themselves. Right. So I think that is something that can be done. But again, it is really a mindset change. Are you just ticking the box by having one woman? Correct. Or do you really want to have a diverse board? And when we do the evaluation of the boards, do we say that the board is not diverse? Right. Because, you know, it's just the same type of person again and again, rather than different types of people who are sitting on the board. So I'm really just endorsing what Rupa has said.
Anjali?
Yes, I'm just endorsing what Rupa has said.
Yeah, no, this is really fabulous. And may I also make one ask of you, Anjali? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Can I make one ask of you, Anjali? I think there's a little trouble we are having with the connection. Are you able to hear me, Anjali?
I can hear you. I can
Right.
hear you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. So I have one request of you, Anjali, that in the coming months, if you come across any opportunities that aspiring women directors can, can apply themselves for or can seek out for themselves, would you be kind enough to kind of pass on such references or such information about such opportunities?
Yes, of course, Rajita. I'll keep you posted.
That will be wonderful, because then we wanted to do this also as, something which takes it to the next level for those who wish to take it to the next level. And that, Mridulla, brings me to you. You have done a lot of work on training women directors, special initiatives for them. What is your sense? Despite all of this, why are there not so many women on boards?
I think I'll just draw on what both Rupa and Anjali have said. It is a chicken and egg situation. Initially, they said there aren't any women. The women are saying we want to get onto boards, but how do we go about it? So I think this whole thing on mandating it has definitely helped. It has made people sit back and think at least, and given the women a platform. The Goldman Sachs making a statement that they will not invest in a company which is not diversified enough. These are the things which will help overall. I think that little bit trust is required based on the current society. And if we are able to use that well, that may help move the ratio, I think, a bit.
That's wonderful. And Mridulla, going with the spirit, I have one request and ask of you also, if it is possible, that next time when you do women's, women directors training, there might be some aspiring women directors who may not be able to afford it financially. I mean, if it fits into your criteria.
Free.
We don't.
So the way we don't run it as a training session, we just call it as a platform. So we started this in 2018 when it was just becoming mandatory to get at least the different women folk together so that we are able to help them build the network. And there we would have one session which would be a KPMG session, one would be a generic session, and one a global session. So we don't charge anything for these. These are just once a quarter, getting different people together. We now also have a combination of men and women coming in for it. So it's not only women. Initially it was only women. Then as we built it, it's a combination because of the whole diversity factor. People have to learn from each other. Even the men have to learn from the women on how to balance things, how to see it from a different perspective. So it's not a paid thing. It is completely free. It is a KPMG initiative. So
would you let us know when your next program is?
Sure, definitely.
And Anjali, your battle is won. Mridulla is having men also in the directors training program.
I have another view on this, Rajita. It shows that the platform has come to a certain strength that men want to be part of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
that is true.
There's a certain aspiration that men are saying we're being left out.
Correct.
I think we should have more such platforms where men feel left out.
Yes.
I don't think he's right, actually. Anjali is so right. When we used to have it, and then one of our colleagues, the male director, came and said, "Why are you doing it only for women? Don't we qualify? So please do it for us as well."
Yeah. So I have many questions, but I want to throw it open to if there are whatever questions there are on the group. Anjali, I have to share with everyone. I learned one thing from you long ago. You used to teach us that when you do a program, never ask if you have any questions. Ask what questions do you have, so that it encourages more people. Correct, Anjali? I remember right?
Yeah.
What questions do we have on the group? You can keep, typing them in, and we will take them one by one. People are typing still. So some inputs are coming. Very good idea. Anuradha Sharma is saying it's a very insightful conversation, especially for women entrepreneurs like me. On my WhatsApp, I'm getting messages. So there are many people who are writing that this is a very insightful conversation, very inspiring comments. Many thumbs ups are coming. Somebody has written very, very good. So a lot of people are on it and enjoying it. And also we are recording this. So it will be available for future viewing. So are there, Charak, are you there? Am I missing if there are questions coming? Charak?
We have got questions from, there's no questions as of now. We have got comments from Anuradha Sharma and Uma.
Yes. Yeah, okay, there is a question. So Anuradha is asking Anjali to you. Anjali, who has been your role model and a strong influence in your life?
I owe a debt, a big debt to many people. So it's a very difficult question to answer. I think one gentleman who played a big role in my life is somebody that you know also, Rajita. This was Mr. Nanu Pamnani,
Right.
who recently passed away.
Right.
And I think Nanu was one of those gentlemen who was very caring and yet very tough.
Right.
He was literally that iron hand in a velvet glove. But I always used to tease him and say that you are a velvet hand in an iron glove.
Right.
He was much tougher than he came across as much tougher than he actually was. He had a heart of gold.
Right.
So what he taught me was that the affection and interest in human beings is a very important part of it. And so I have always felt that developing EQ is as important as IQ.
How nice.
He's been an important man for me. He's been an important man for me. Do I have a female role model? Yes, I do. My mother is in many ways my role model. She's 85 years old, Rajita,
Okay.
and she's still working.
Wow.
She's still working. She's a school teacher and she gives tuitions at home.
Wow.
And if she loves her work, she loves the little children who come home.
Wow.
So she has been an inspiring role model for me because she's taught me that when you love your work, you are never really working. You know,
Right.
you're enjoying yourself.
How
So
nice.
that passion for that has happened.
What an inspiration. What about Rupa and Mridulla? Shortly, your role models?
Louis, Miranda, my dad, of course, he was most committed with anything that he took up to his hand. He will never leave it. So he was my first role model. Then Louis, of course, Dr. Vijay Kelkar. He was the chairman of our company, and his, he just taught us to think out of the box and to make us opportunity out of every problem. And even today, whenever I meet him, it's just so interesting and you can get so much to learn out of him. And Gurudev, of course, we are blessed to have him as a biggest mentor, though not directly, but through his teachings, we learn a lot from him. And that is something that I always try to incorporate in my life. So yes, he's very much a part of my life.
Nice. Mridulla?
For me, Rajita, I give a lot of credit to my mom for encouraging me, for standing by me, to thought the idea of that, yes, you can have a career. She seeded the idea in my head and nurtured it all the way through, when I had Samir, when I was going through difficult times. So though she herself didn't work, so she just cleared her 10th and got married, and I was born when she was about 19. But at that time, to have the vision, to have the insight, to say that no, it's important for a woman to have her career. So a lot of my career credit to her, and also to my husband, because he's kind of helped me go through this journey in different ways and emotions that I've gone through. And a lot of the women that I see around, I learn something from each of them every day, from you, from Rupa, from Anjali. So it's an ongoing journey. I try to look out for them every day.
How nice. How nice. Anjali, one more question is coming to you. I think the car has got stuck in many heads, that you spoke about spotting the opportunity and to have a razor-like focus. I do spot the opportunity. This is Grishma Putran who's asking. But at times I'm reluctant to speak about it, thinking that the opportunity will be given to me when the time is right. How can I change this mindset?
So I think it's building on what Mridulla said about raising your hand. A lot of this is related to self-belief and what we actually think about ourselves and whether we deserve it. So a lot of women tend to think that I'm already so lucky. I'm already educated. I've got a job. I'm being able to have a family as well. I've already got so much. Do I really deserve something else? And I think that self-belief that, yes, I'm worthy of this opportunity. And that if I raise my hand and I speak up and I say, listen, look at me, people will not think that I am being overly aggressive or overly ambitious, but that they will just take it at face value. It is about self-belief. So it's a little switch in your own head. And you have to practice this. Rajita was the one who told me about this in the morning. You know, you do meditation and contemplation and reflect on the day. You can either do it in the evening or you can do it in the morning. Reflect and say, what was the opportunity I missed? Why did I miss it? What kept me back? What was that internal trigger that prevented me? What was that? Whenever we don't do something, there's always some discomfort inside ourselves. So what is that discomfort that is preventing me? What is that break? But one last thing I'm going to say, that, you know, women tend to look a lot in life at breaks. Everybody has breaks. Everybody has problems in their lives. Don't look at breaks. Look at accelerators.
Wow.
Why did I not get this? Don't focus on that. Focus on, what do I press to get ahead?
Wow.
And it's just a question of looking differently. And that's the laser-like focus.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow. Wow, Anjali, this is really, I mean, the car and now the brake and accelerator, you like really, you made us get it. It's really fabulous. So I have a comment here from one of our young faculty members, Kamalakant Dash. He's a man and he's saying, great to have inspiring ladies share their life stories and mantras of success. These discussions are more relevant for men like me. He's thanking me for creating this platform, and we should not just do celebration on 8th of March. Thank you for focusing on women's women's leadership. Wow. KK Dashi is a very young, dynamic faculty member of our KK. Appreciate your comment. Shuna is saying thank you, Anjali, for your answer. I know you all are very busy and you know, you have things to do. So I want to take a few one-word answers I want from all of you. Any regret in life, in one word? Any regrets?
That I lost my father and father-in-law.
Okay. All right. Mridulla?
So maybe on Anjali's point on negotiating better.
Okay.
I think, yeah, maybe I could have some more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rupa, I like to move on. I don't really focus on what I haven't done properly. So
Okay.
let's just move on. Don't make the same mistake again. But
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Rupa, backwards from you. How do you keep yourself motivated, energized? How do you drive yourself?
I think much to do with Gurudev's teachings one more time, giving some time to yourself to go within and to look at, just see and observe the things within you, the light within you, and keep smiling with, don't bother about the obstacles that come your way. Just move on.
Okay, great. Mridulla?
Sorry, Rajita, your voice is a little faded.
Yeah, my question was, how do you keep yourselves driven, motivated, energized?
I think just seeing change, I think, keeps me energized. I like to do different things, see what's happening around, and that is what keeps me going to try different roles, different opportunities. Or like I said, I've done 8 jobs in KPMG, which across departments, across cities. So the change drives me.
Change. Andy?
Rajita, I love, I think, gratitude.
Wow.
Gratitude is very important, being grateful, and also forgiveness. You know, forgive and move on. And if you can't, then just forget it.
Oh, okay, very
But
nice.
daily gratitude is something that's very important for me.
Oh, nice. Wow. Okay, again, 1 word, 2 word answers. How do you relax, Anjali?
Oh, I have many ways of relaxing. Work relaxes me, and I also simple things like I feed the birds. So I have a parrot feeder. I look at the parrots every morning. I love music, especially devotional songs. I love reading. I love reading both fiction and non-fiction. I love watching movies with my husband, holding his hand in a movie theater or snuggling together, watching a movie at home. I love walking. I love walking in the outdoors with my daughter and son-in-law. So life, I think, can be beautiful, and every moment can be a relaxed and gorgeous moment. When you are really lost in your work, then it is the most exciting. When I'm writing a case study, then I think I'm the most relaxed because I'm totally forgetting anything else.
Wow. Anjali, you are that exceptional human being which is relaxing in work. But what a great example. Mridulla, how do you relax?
I think I just like to spend time with family and friends. We have a beautiful deck, go down, meet people, share things with them, have fun, basically a stuff, and then just the usual stuff, TV, reading, stuff. But I really relaxes me is to be with close family and friends.
Yeah, and we can see that you've joined from the music room of your son. So that relaxes you a lot as well.
Yeah, so that is my 24-hour. So just 2 points that I want to make on the earlier session that one of our colleagues mentioned, that in KPMG we now, in our diversity folio, we have men as allies. So it's not only men as allies. So not only focusing on women, how you as men can help women at home and at work. Oh. And so that's helped. And even on this point on we have this diversity discussion, we were having it on the dining table once, and my son says, what is the big deal about it? Why does a woman have to even ask anyone? So because of the fact that he's seen me work and this thing, so hopefully to this generation it won't be such a big issue if we are able to manage it right.
Yeah, Gurudev always says that women don't need to ask for empowerment. They just need to recognize they are more empowered sometimes than men. And Rupa, how do you relax?
Well, some moments to myself, just seeing the wow and everything and being grateful, really, that relaxes me the most.
And I have to say this about all three of you. I can say I know you very well. And one thing that strikes me, which is common to all three of you, is your incredibly positive attitude to life. I mean, any one of the three of you could be my go-to person if I am really in a crisis and I want to just feel that burst of positive energy. I think you have led your life like this, and I want to salute you, really, all three of you, for that. And I think that's a great example for everyone, not just girls, but boys, young professional women, everybody. And now I want to ask you, because I do intend to keep this to time, I want to ask you again a close-ended question. When can we in Shikshri University after all corona crisis is over, of course, but when will you visit us?
This year for sure.
This year for sure, Mridulla. We'll hold you to that. We'll hold you.
Done. No, it's something that we've been wanting to do, but yeah, this year for sure.
Okay.
Goal for 2020.
Yes. Anjali?
Rajita, as soon as this crisis is over, we can fix a date.
Wonderful. Rupa?
Whenever you say, it's a lovely place, fantastic campus, and vice free. I don't think you find such a place with the best of the East and the West. And you're doing a fantastic job, Rajita ji, and I'd love to be there once again. So whenever you say it.
Lovely. More questions are coming, and I'm conscious that Anjali, you have to leave for another appointment, and it must have been a busy day for everybody. So I don't want to hold you up, but this was such an inspiring, such an elevating, such an uplifting conversation just for me. I am sure that it was like this. I'm seeing many more on WhatsApp. Also, messages are coming about how inspiring this has been for everybody. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank the three of you for really being so open and really bearing your soul in so many occasions. And the Women's Leadership Forum, Charchika, under the aegis of which we are also having this conversation. This is an effort we have where we bring inspiring women like you to closer to our girl students, to our team members, so everyone gets a chance, a peek into life or lives of exceptional women achievers. And today has been one of the brightest such evenings for us. So thank you for your time. And I want to just leave it for anything that you would like to say in closing. And thank you from the bottom of my heart.
No, thank you so much, Rajita, for this opportunity. And just as a takeaway from this thing, anytime, if you want to do it every quarter, happy to have a discussion with any of the girl students if they are facing challenges, want to talk through, anytime, happy to do a session with them.
Thank you, Mridulla. Thank you.
Been a great session. You moderated it extremely well. The questions were most thoughtful and thought-provoking.
Thank you, Anjali. You are the wind beneath many of our wings. So always thankful for your encouragement. Rupa?
Thank you, Rajita ji. This has been a fantastic session. And as usual, you've moderated it really well. So much thought has gone into making those questions and getting them out of us. So nice. And the little message that I'd like to give is to girls who are coming up now is dare to dream and follow your dream.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And with the accelerator, Anjali, no brakes, only accelerator.
I would just say, Rajita, that the young girls should feel that they are persons, they are people, they are not a tag, they are not somebody's wife, daughter, aunt, and so on. They should think of themselves as people first and then the tag later.
How nice. How nice. How nice. This is fabulous. I really, in this really difficult time that we as a world and a global humanity are going through, I think this has been one of the bright sparks for me, not just of today, but I think of this week. So thank you very much. And I would like to invite everybody who's listening to us still and on this call that we offer a silent prayer of goodwill and good wishes to all of us in the world today, so that we find the collective strength to come over it. Gurudev has said that it's good time to meditate, go inward, build our immunity, and take this time. Maybe this is a time nature is giving us to little bit slow down, cool down, so that we can kind of recalibrate ourselves as we move ahead. So with that prayer to all of humanity, I would like to say thank you, and thank you for everyone who joined, and look forward to being in touch. And here's goodbye, au revoir from Sri Sri University.
Au revoir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.